Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, my Impact Wrestling fam? Welcome to episode 134 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Gregory, and I refuse to clean up the basement. But that's here nor there. My name is Geoff, guys. Welcome back. You know the deal. Another episode. Here's Sunday live, 8 p.m. Twitch.tv/TNAIWChannel. We'll see if the chat lights up as usual. You're all welcome here. And either way, we're going to have a good time. We got a lot to talk about. Some interesting stuff. We'll talk about the ever-expanding Multiverse United card. Looking forward to see what they announce for the knockouts for that. We're going to do a knockouts, kind of a state of the knockouts division, especially with the rumors of Taya leaving. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then also the growth or where we're at with Impact, because I have a couple questions for you guys, the audience. Always love hearing from you. As you know, if you're watching us, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. And make sure you check out the rest of the shows on the channel, including GoGoPowerRankings, which we're about to get in just a second. You catch Datala, Bert, and Lucha every Tuesday going over the power rankings, killing it there. And going to take a hiatus, talking bloody nonsense. Nothing but love for both of them. Real life obviously comes into play sometimes in the fun of doing this. So they're going to take a little break. Still going to work, make sure they're on the channel from time to time, but as a weekly thing right now, they're taking a little bit hiatus, so go show them some love. Of course, always part of the family. But I want to thank you guys. Great numbers all around. We're almost at that 4K mark. Thank you for that Twitter. Let's keep getting those up. Show Io some love there and the great work he does. Closer and closer to our 400 Bound for Glory 2024 goal. Numbers up all around. So thank you guys. Either way. But speaking of numbers, let's get into the power rankings so we can get into this episode of Impact Wrestling. I want to know, of course, what you guys thought about the episode as we go along. We're going to talk about how we got there in just a second with the power rankings. But if you want to make a difference, if you see these power rankings, you say, what the hell? If you want to change them, make sure you go write Bert at Bert Macklin 11 or at TNAIWChannel. Get in there. Once again, it's as easy as a DM once a week after Thursday's episode before Sunday at noon. 1 through 10. Put it in there. Peace out. Not that difficult. All right, guys. Speaking of that, let's jump right to it.
Number 10, Eddie Edwards. Number 9, Tag Team Champions, the Dead Dolls. Number 8, number 1 contender Steve Macklin. Number 7, Frankie Kazarian and Rich Swann. Number 6, X Division Champion Trey Miguel. Number 5, Tag Team Champions Bullet Club. Number 4, Time Machines Kushida. Number 3, the Juggernaut Jordynne Grace. Number 2, World Champion Josh Alexander. Number 1, World Champion Mickie James.
So what do you guys think? Let us know, and make sure you go watch GoGoPowerRankings this Tuesday and see what they have to say. All opinions welcome there, even Johnny Swinger at number 1. Oh, man, it's a good time. Get up with them, join the Power Rankings committee. But I like Eddie at number 10, wearing the green. We're going to talk about that as well, Eddie, and who's the driver there. My money's on Rikishi. All right, let's get into the episode. What's going on, Io? All right, we're going to get into the episode. We start with this episode. We always talk about, or each week, excuse me, we talk about BTI. We always start there. Start with the Iceman Intel. He's talking about PCO wandering Vegas. Obviously, that will come into play. And the match on BTI, once again, so back-to-back, trying to elevate the tag division here. Gia doing commentary there. Yes, it's 1990 again. Who run over PCO? We'll get to that. There's some theories. I have some good ones. Or maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, so Gia's doing commentary here, as she has been for a little bit now. She mentioned insane tag division. Her and Tom talking about the insane tag division. I don't know if we're there yet, but I really like that they're using BTI, at least for the last 2 weeks, to tell a story, to elevate that division, showcase the tag division that they're trying to build. In this case, Kaz and Swan together is going to lead to something else, kind of a thrown together tag team for a different reason. Obviously, they alluded to Swan and Raj getting up at some point here because of Raj was too busy with roulette, which I still love. But you get Raj and Cher here together, and then Swan and Kaz picking up the win, 450 splash via Rich Swann. Good to see the tag division being featured. We're going to go into the first segment of the actual Impact on Access TV episode. This is another one, and we'll get to my grade later. This is where I think it started off a little rough for me. Long promo, maybe not that long, felt long. I think it was at least 8 minutes or so. A lot of layers to it, so we're starting again another week of big promo here. Kind of happens to be the case when they have a lot of tapings, it feels, or one big taping, but... We have Bully Ray starting it off, and he's talking about what kind of guy is he, doing heel Bully Ray stuff, which is enjoyable, but I don't know if the crowd was into this per se. And he tries his hardest. Once again, look, I like Bully Ray a lot. I think, what he says rings true. Critical Sting 17, welcome. Hashtag end the feud. I think that's what it comes down to. Look, this segment, again, brought to you by Bust Open Radio, which, if we have to pay to play, we have to pay to play. I love Bully since the moment he came back, and what he's contributed since. There's no problem in that. I think it's just hard to get behind it. And granted, once again, we're saying that, it's a feud between two veterans and who cares, Tommy versus him. But they are still weaving in the youth in there and elevating some people in this case. So I want to move on to that before I'm just, completely negative. But I have to be honest, unbiased and transparent here. I wasn't a fan of this long segment, but there were bits and pieces. It's kind of like the prequels to Star Wars, 1, 2, and 3. Phantom Menace and stuff. I like bits and pieces. I enjoy it overall because of that. I don't want them to go away. We still got Darth Maul. We still got Bully Ray. But this is one of those things where I was... All right, anyways. So Bully Ray, eventually Santino comes out. And Santino is making the Busted Open match at Sacrifice official. I'll talk more about Santino later. But he's dropping some funny things here. And then Boopy comes out next, Boopinder. And he's rocking the jacket. I never realized it has the fur on. So, Boopinder, if you're watching, buddy, fur jacket, Lambos, neon, and money, right? Raj already got that. Let's go. But he comes out, and, he's gonna. This is going to lead to a match-ish between him and Bully Ray. Once again, at least Bully here is working with the youth and getting them some spotlight. But it's going to end with a low blow and some chain here. Tommy comes to make the save. He can't wrestle, but he can be physical. I don't know. Moving on. Masha, this is the next one to come in and make her mark known. Really like the pairing of Masha and Bully. I'm glad they're extending it for whatever reason. But it's a nice little, once again, working with someone that he elevates. And both of them together just seems evil. I don't know. Like it. Next out is Mickey, who attacks with a kendo stick, and it doesn't go over well. She moves her attention to Masha. Eventually, Bully gets the chain around her throat, and slightly right after, the faces rise to stand tall. Long segment. A lot of things going on. I will say I like that part about it, interweaving some things that actually matter or that we want to develop or continue to develop, so I applaud that. But let's move on. Bully, so that happened. A lot of propaganda shots in here, by the way. I don't know what they're actually called. I haven't filmed in a very, very long time. But the shots of the crowd remember, I think we had him on Pop for a bit as well. There's shots of, you get them on like late night talk shows as well. It's just where they, it's actual footage, but it's just, is it in context? Maybe it is, but it's like, oh yay, close shot on a fan, which is interesting. If we're trying to, we'll talk about, where Impact's at later, but as far as showcasing your fans on the outside, it could be a benefit to them, especially if we're staying in the smaller arenas, but interesting choice. Next up, we're going to cut to PCO in the desert, and this is one of those things that was Darth Maul for me. We'll call it that. I loved, just noticing I spelled, it just says PCO in the desert, and desert with 2 S's. You could tell where I was at. I like the look of PCO. I really do, man. He looks great. The slight changes in the perfection. I saw someone designed it. I'll have to share that on Twitter or look out for that. But I think the evolution of his look is really really nice. The setting and the drop and all about how this whole thing was shot, I really love. We'll get into it. We already made a reference of the car thing, but I really dug this. This is one of those things that I really dug. And he got to talk a little bit. This is that next step for him. Maybe not need a talking piece for him. He can just be, Eddie, fight me, and say things. A la Abyss, kind of Abyss, right? When he first started to talk, it was a little and moved on, but dig it. A nice piece of character to the show here. Next up is Rich and Josh, and Josh is looking for tag team or 2 individuals to help him at Sacrifice in the main event. We alluded to last week, once again, we're spoiler free. If we weren't spoiler free, by the way, we would have no show, because most of my theories and ideas are proven wrong the next week by watching what was taped. But I digress. Either we were talking about last week about should it be Team Canada for Josh's legacy and double down on our intellectual property, or should we go with Bullet Club and try to stoke some flame into that and him possibly be the leader there? No Bullet Club here. In fact, it's looking quite the opposite in a few segments. But Rich, feud over, no harm, no foul. They're still buddies, handshake, and Rich is first to join Team Josh. Next is in Macklin. Comes in Macklin. And this is one of those little things for me, those little happy moments where you were looking for breadcrumbs. And Macklin wasn't a douche here. He was kind of facey, right? Well, I mean, hey, I'm not going to back. I want to scout you. I'm going to be a noble. It was not, still Macklin delivered. But more, I'll say kind than the normal FU Macklin, right? Little tone change there. I still feel like that swap is coming. But we'll see. Let's keep it going in this segment. So Macklin makes his case, but Frankie soon comes in to accept the position. He's already has, or they're announcing it here that he is the third person for Sacrifice. So Sacrifice main event: Josh, Rich, and Kazarian versus Time Machine. Okay, so we're gonna keep going because next up is the design with Sammy. Sammy's going to be taking on Rhino here after last week's Rhino trying to stick up for him kind of thing. This being step 6 as well. Heath with Rhino here. Sammy with all of the design. Look, I know I've had my gripes with the design over the course of whatever since the beginning. I want it to work. I'll never not want anything to work, especially if it's going to be a viable brand. I think that it's more organic than it has been. I don't know the design brand itself is working for me. The facials are better. I don't know if it's all right. I like the additions of Khan. What's up, Millard? Hey, no worries whatsoever, man. Appreciate you rolling in. I like Khan. I like Diener. Still think they need to change the name there. 76 Philly, welcome. I definitely wanted the design to work too, but man, the story has been been rough. Feels like it's dragging everyone involved down. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that Sammy. He kept promising that this is going to go crazy places, and I still believe it does. That's something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but I can kind of drop my own breadcrumbs as we go. It feels like, even though we have multiple shows, as we talked about last week, where it was 5 weeks to promote 3, as Io said, it feels like we're in that waiting period before we go up. And I think it's all going to come to a climax at Rebellion. I believe that. And that's not the optimist in me. I just feel like there's always some things before they get to what their actually 6-month plan is or whatever. And I think there's a lot of things coming out of the future that changes the course of the booking. So I'm being patient here. I'm still going to be honest with it. But when it comes to design, I think we need step 6 and 7 to hurry the hell up. And I once again, I want it to work. I love everyone involved. And some really nice surprises in this. I just don't think the white and the black and the design and the steps, maybe the steps work, but I bet you if you change their gear to look more, not the white and black, but you made it look New Churchy and just put that name on it, shit would work like crazy. With Diener as the lead, still think you need to change his name if you want him to take seriously as a heel. But the dynamics there, the chemistry's building, the look, I love Khan, and that, they could all fit that. If it was Ascension looking, if it was, I just think the design isn't working for us right now. I don't know what the design is. I guess we kind of do, but I think they need to take their next their step 6 and 7. But Rhino gets the victory here via step 6, which was a chair shot. I don't know if it's revenge or redemption. Redeeming yourself, but Sammy taking the pin after Khan gives him a receipt for the chair shot at No Surrender. So Rhino picking up the win here, keeping Rhino and Heath still in the win column, man. So I thought, Heath's getting that, and I know he's had that year rolled in, but it feels like they're keeping them relevant. Maybe he sticks around, I don't know, but we'll see. I like Heath, by the way. I can't say that enough. I try to always try to wean in there where I can. I think Keith is a highly underrated dude who brings a lot of, just like Myers, man. And I don't want to get to Dango in a little bit, but you guys know my love for Heath too. Wanted to mention that. It's been a while. So next up, there we go. We're going to talk about Santino and Dango a little bit, especially Dango. What a pickup, man. I know it's not going to be one of those things, and we can talk about the big signings that we want Impact to have or whatever. It's not. It's one of those things that's under the radar. Same with Santino in a sense, and maybe that's more on my end. I self-admittedly said that I was skeptical about the choice of Santino, a comedic position holder. But what I think we're going to get from Scott and what we were getting from Scott are definitely different than what Santino gives, and has proven me completely wrong. I once again wasn't a fan of the E when he was in his heyday. Seen the clips and the packages, but thought it was just too comedic. Not in a bad way. He makes me laugh. But to be taken seriously as a DOA in this case. And he's been nailing it, man. There was that one weird thing I talked about, No Surrender, that one, but he's not going to always hit out of the park, but I think he's killing it. And if, by the way, a lot of the talent on, is it Chris Van Vliet show, check it all out, man. Every interview from Bully to Santino's really shows the character of who they are and what they believe in Impact and beyond. And it's really cool insight, too. So check those out. But Santino and Dango, and that's what I was talking about. They're talking about Gregory, man, and he's not going to clean up the basement. But Trey comes in and plays along with whatever the hell's going on there. Weird, quirky, and definitely a highlight for me in this episode. Just these little nuggets of Santino and Dango. I still say it's very Office to me. It's very Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute. So I enjoy that. And it's not a job. It's a lifestyle. Good shit, man. But what we get out of this as well is Trey is talking about, how is he going to get his shine, yada, yada. And Santino has a couple opportunities for him. One at Sacrifice, which is a hand-picked opponent for Trey. Guys, I love this because it only ends two ways, right? Either Trey loses it to someone from New Japan or Trey beats someone from New Japan. There's no way 6 days later that we're not going to use someone that we wouldn't have normally been able to get in this spot. I'm intrigued. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Cool, whatever. But the setup is intriguing to me. The timing is not lost. And he's also going to have to defend his title at that Multiverse United as well in a mega match. What is it, a scramble, X Division scramble? We'll get to that because I'm going to go over a Multiverse card later. But I, of course, want to mention that Swinger and Dice come in here. And they're trying to find a tomato can to beat up and to do the job. Once again, a beautifully produced comedy segment. That's rare for me to admit. I think it's hard to achieve. But these simple little things, it's when you go small like this, man. And it's a testament also to every player in this segment being their own developed character already. From Santino to Dango to Trey and his response to things. It works perfectly. And then a Swinger and Dice, which everyone looks forward, for the most part, for them to get wheeled on TV. So really enjoyed this. This is one of my biggest pluses from the night. Millard, catching up with you, bud. Big Joe coming back might have the design, the shot they need. Yeah, I love Big Joe. Hope, once again, go support him and buy the shirts. But I don't know, man. I don't want to put too much pressure on the possibility of him coming back or when he comes back or, having to put the brunt of the load on his back. Also, Dango said in interviews that he wanted to move away from comedic wrestling, but his comedic style is what gets him over. That's fair, man. I was saying Jake something and the design could work. Oh, for sure. I think, that's going to be the thing. I think the design could work. I just don't know if the design works. And by adding people is going to just make this better and better and better as they grow and they, find their footing. I just think that it's a aesthetics thing. I think it's a design. It's a design thing. Anyways, real quick about Dango. Same with Heath and Cardona as well. And anyone else, Brian Myers. You don't keep jobs in the E, a professional wrestling company of that nature that travels and performs night after night after night, if you don't know what the hell you're doing in that ring. Dango does. Professional, awesome, man. He's one of those people, like when him and Myers wrestle is just a couple months? Not even a couple months ago. Dug it. I like that. I'm a sucker for that. It's very like heyday for me, like not Attitude Era, but WCW, that kind of style of wrestling. I enjoy it. Philosophical, where it makes sense. I don't know. But so it is. I understand that. Like, yes, the comedic stuff is what gets him over, but then he can deliver in the ring. So how do you balance that, and how do you get taken seriously as the non-comedic thing? I think that's it could be done. It could be done, but right now I like him in the role. Next, we're going to take a quick break, but during the break, they're going to talk about Step 6 and how they brought Sammy with them, so it's not like they screwed him over kind of thing. Next up is a showcase for Jordynne Grace, and if you haven't got a chance to check Jordynne Grace, her diary out, go do so. Another home run for this team. And these are the things, when we talk about the state of the knockouts, of course I'll talk throughout the night about it. But these are the things that the knockouts get, Gisele being next up, that they don't get everywhere else, man. Not only do they get the time in the ring, not only do they get the focus on both the belts, and for them to cross over into other belts, they get these things that showcase them. We're going to talk about character-wise, but also human aspect. I really dig what they're doing with the knockouts, and I know I want to make sure we're all on the same page because I know the Taya thing could feel like a step back. But so they're showcasing Jordynne here, and man, looking like a juggernaut. And she's she is taken out. But Alex Gracia, not too familiar. I was saying very knockout heavy show tonight for sure. Yeah. Probably after last week we complained about being no knockouts. This week it's full of knockouts, but hey, I'll take it. I thought it was a great show for a great showing for all the knockouts here, man. Yeah, not too familiar with Alex Gracia here. Like it or not, it was a very forced match. It felt very budding, but I thought it was great. Showed Jordynne's toughness. Didn't make Gracia look like a punk. And they got to mention her that Jordynne's preparing for IFBB powerlifting. Is that what it is? Which, so cool, man. And part about what that diary talked about, which I love, because it feels like more and more, it's so weird that we live in a society where we're preaching love and equality and all of that, right? Acceptance. But it feels like I see more and more people telling Jordynne that she's not their bag. Like, who the fuck are you guys? Like, why would she give a shit? And if she does, it's going to be more of obviously like, come on, man, why are you going to, don't know her. But at the same time, it can't feel good. So step it up. What the hell are we doing out there? She might not be your bag. She might not be, you know what I mean? Someone else might not be. Maybe someone is. Why would they want to hear it? Why do you feel the need to stop and let them know? I don't know. Really irritating. Anywho, I think she looks great, man. Kicking ass. And the fact that she's going to do these other things, including Diary, which already aired, but she's going to do IFBB. These are just things. We're going to talk about Rosemary and the screen premiere. These are the little things that get that differentiate us and what we can do or what we are proud to showcase and proud to spotlight, man. So good for Impact, great for Jordynne, man. Awesome stuff. Next up, Joe Hendry's backstage and he's telling jokes. RK Shuttlesworth, what's up? People are still stuck in self-esteem issues from childhood. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair, and it works two ways, though. It's a lot of lashing out because they have personal things, but you're not taking consideration that maybe those people you're saying those things to also have those. It's just it's a eye for an eye, only ends up making the whole world blind kind of thing. It's like, what are you doing here? But yeah, welcome, buddy. Good time to enter the show. But Joe Hendry's back there and he's telling jokes, and the fans are eating it up because everyone loves Joe Hendry, believes in Joe Hendry. And Moose is going to come in and Joe's going to try to clown him about dancing Moose, and then Myers is going to come in and wail the shit out of, of Joe Hendry. And, look, I cannot preach this again. I know this is one little backstage segment, but we're talking about Joe Hendry, Moose, and Brian Myers, all viable contenders for, I think, even the world title. Obviously, with Moose for sure. Myers was just a number one contender, and Joe Hendry, that next step eventually will be the world title. But all of these people surrounding the DMC, love it. Love it. It's the first time in the history of this company that we've had guys, I don't like this mid-card title. And that doesn't feel mid-card, but also feels like this is the crop that's just waiting to get to that next chance. They can't be in the picture right now. Josh is doing other things. Here's the next thing. Let me keep my championship contention there. Let me keep my relevancy there, and let me my pedigree of being a champion. I don't know. I just really dig it, and for every kayfabe reason you're supposed to have that title, it's succeeding right now. Love it. Millard saying Jeff Jordynne is in Australia for WSW, and Steph DeLander was advertised being an Impact Wrestling superstar. Interesting after being on Dark. Also impacts a lot of wrestlers that tour. Shazza McKenzie said that she'll see Jordynne at Rebellion. Cool. Yeah, man, Knockouts division. That's, I think, there's going to be some subtraction, but there's going to be some additions and some depth here, which I already think we're building upon. We'll get to that. But, yeah, the interesting thing, I saw someone had mentioned Steph DeLander, and why would we give her so much rub? I don't think we did. She took 2 L's. She got a little mic time. She got a little character development. And she had 2 losses to our talent. Same with Anthony Green. It goes in the same thing, and I'm going to keep mentioning this. I see no problem with them giving a showcase to a talent who is testing out the waters, because at the same time, we're testing out the waters. We have the ability to do so. And to give these people, let them talk on the mic, let them be in front of the crowd, let them have 2 high-profile matches or good matches, and let's see if they stick. Evaluate them. And if Steph DeLander has seen the other places, but interesting that she's labeled that. I would love it, and I love what they're doing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But with the tag division, as far as we have 2 stable ones now again, but as far as maybe bringing in some younger cats to pair with some veterans who aren't in the title picture at the moment, I dig it. So maybe could be another case coming in with Steph DeLander, who I thought was needs some time, but definitely has some great quality about her. So continuing with the talking segments, I'll try to rush to this one. Bullet Club is walking around with Kenta. I guess that is Bullet Club, right? What'd you guys think of last week's episode if you watched? I said death to Bullet Club for different reasons. Sounds whatever, but there's multiple reasons to it. But either way, glad to have Kenta on the screen. And don't mean Bullet Club, Ace and Bay. I just mean the group. Think they could do it on their own. But, Jamie, stay ready. I want to give you a shout out for commenting, always commenting, but here saying he would love to see Bullet Club, Ace and Bay versus Motor City Machine Guns in a best of 7 a la Beer Money and Motor City back in the day. I dig that idea. Look, it wasn't a dig when, at the beginning when I mentioned Gia and Tom saying we have an insane tag division. And I think we need those kind of things and those kind of ideas to get there. We already know they're established, but we don't really have anyone that's that third, I would say, super strong developed team. So why don't we stall it out, let's make it worth it and exciting, and then we can start including some people we're starting to build up. I think there's a lot of possibilities in teams that could be reuniting. I think there's some possibilities of teams getting elevated. Love seeing Decay back together. Love seeing Raj and Shira getting a chance on a regular. So we'll get there, but I don't buy David Finlay maybe being the new leader of the Bullet Club. Yeah, man, they're just, I'm telling you, they need to put that one out to pasture. So Bullet Club's talking, they're going to run into Gia and Kevin Knight. They're going to run into very sweet Shane Haste, who, funny stuff, makes a mention about TMDK coming for those Bullet Club titles, maybe, our Impact Tag Team titles. And then they run into Josh, Kaz, and Rich, and here we go. Once again, I read spoilers, we wouldn't have a show. But Josh, Kaz, and Rich challenge Bullet Club next week, so we're going to get Bullet Club versus them in a 6-man tag. Super excited about that, and thought another good segment. Next up is a match that was just tugging at my heartstrings. Old school style, Jonathan Gresham versus Kushida. I don't say old school, but very technical, very thought out. Every move has a purpose. I eat that stuff up. Do I want it every match? I like a variety, and that's why I love Impact. I think they do a great job of giving you the best variety act on TV. But, yeah, Jonathan Gresham versus Kushida. Awesome here. No harm, no foul in the loss. Hoverboard lock. Of course, Kushida's not number one contender, but, I mean, technically, right? I don't know if you want to word it, right? Can we word it that way? He's number one contender A. Macklin's B. I don't know. But anyways, Kushida getting the victory here. Could have watched this go for an hour. Wonderful shit. What'd you guys think of it? How are Code of Honor strongly adhered to? Yes. It's one of those things, man, that these kind of matches, I want to know how you guys feel. I'm obviously 36 of age. So I've seen all different kinds of styles, and I've got to go back, and obviously with the ability to the libraries that are on different networks, you can go back and watch and see all stuff from different ages. So I've got to see some really good stuff. I just realized Kushida's yet to taste defeat. Never seen a match go over a full minute with wrestlers in it, with both wrestlers in a handshake. Go over a full minute with wrestlers. Have now. No, but I want to know what you guys think. Because obviously my taste of wrestling isn't always the same as everyone else's, and vice versa. What do you guys think of these kind of matches? I love them. Next up is something that I overlooked because Eddie's being driven out to the desert, 1S, and the whole time I'm thinking like, oh, this is unique. Like I never even fathomed what we were gonna get. I don't know why. I just thought I was like, oh, we got to Uber to the desert, like, shit talking. But no, that's not the case. And if he did, Uber's got a lawsuit on his hands, man. But next up is a double whammy segment, which I love. And then we're going to get right back to the PCO Eddie stuff. I like a variety of style matches, says RK Shuttlesworth. Agree. Killer Kelly's going to sit in the ring. And I'm going to be real. I don't know what she said, but I loved it. Loved every second of it. And she's sitting in the chair, and she's going to call out Taylor Wilde. And Taylor Wilde's doing her witchy thing. Once again, I love this because not only is it a different, everyone has something different, but it's just something where you're going to look back and say, oh, and if they do it right, I think they already have, but we'll see the arc of it. It looks like they're on a good path, her and her future. Get to that in just one moment. But to have Taylor Wilde's beginnings at Impact, which shout out to Io who spotlighted on the Twitter account. To have her first moment in Impact, to have this now, it's just a cool evolution and a great stuff to have in the content there. Also, great that she has her podcast on Impact Plus. Is it Impact Plus or is it just the, or is it the YouTube one? I don't know. But either way, really cool. But so she's going to come out and she's going to pull out the Tower card, and that Tower card is the returning, or as she said, arriving KiLynn King. Now, I know it says going to save those. Has crossed the lines for definite signees, but I think the writing's on the wall. Besides being a Bully Ray student, or was a Bully Ray student, I think she played the landscape a little bit. I think this would fit her really well. I think if she asked Bully, her trainer, for advice, he would say this is the best place for you right now, at the very least. And right now she is walking into an awesome program. I like the Coven. The Hex. Yeah. The Coven is a group of witches. We could see a potential faction. Yes, I agree. Now, the Hex I don't think is the thing. I think they're more like the Scooby-Doo the Hex, right? Like just a band, like a cool, like a Death Dolls. But yeah, I really dig this, man. I dig the name. I dig the look. They look like they should be together. They look like you should take them seriously. They look like a real deal team. Now, does that mean she's signed long term? I don't know. But we're seeing some really great shit with people who aren't signed long term. And trust. That's all that matters. Mickie James is our champion, and she's not signed long term. I don't even think she's in a contract. So would I prefer her, even though she's on the roster page, to be locked in? Of course. I want to know this is going to go for the real deal a long time, because we're on the precipice of having two real deal, already established teams in 1 week. It already clicked, for me at least. I don't know. Dig it. Of course, the gimmick work helps the cause, but what did you guys think of the debut? I loved it. She takes out Killer Kelly with a chair here. A lot of laughing, a lot of excitement. But we're going to go back, and Kelly's eating her wounds, right? She's sitting there, and the Death Dolls appear. Love the gem lights on Havoc, by the way. So it hurts me to say that, we're going to obviously talk about Taya. Let's see, they offered her a contract about a month or so ago, and the rumors said that she turned him down. Don't trust the so-called sheets. Well, once again, if we're talking about KiLynn King, it's possible she did. I just feel like arriving is a interesting choice of words, especially when you've done rounds with us before and then other places, and you've arrived before, but you never called it arrive. So let's see. Let's see where we're at. I'm excited either way. We also got to remember the sheets are sometimes right too. And in this case with Taya, we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, it hurts me to see Death Dolls sound like a unit here, look like a unit, be the technical longest reigning Knockouts tag team. Well, they are the longest reigning Knockouts tag team champions. Knockouts tag team. But anyways, dug that from Havoc. But yeah, they do a little hocus pocus here as well. As well, Kelly exits first, excuse me. And then the Coven comes in, and we have a match set up for next week. Once again, spoiler free. But I think that could tell us, well, if they win, obviously, it would tell us a lot about if KiLynn's sticking around for the long haul, short term, or whatever. We'll see. At least a program. And who knows what happens here? We'll talk about Taya and the possibilities. We'll save that for just a moment. So we're going to go back to the desert. PCO is and Eddie are going to have a brawl. Once again, the aesthetics of this, how they shot this, everything about it, I really enjoyed. When they're too long, and there's not enough whatever, and it's just yeah in a desert. Okay, but this was timed nice, and then PCO gets the upper hand and smash. Doing it for The Rock. Who is doing it for Eddie Edwards? I think your head goes quickly to a Lish, right? Could it just be Lish? This is how they do her heel turn. I think I was talking to Lucha about it, and he's just like, well, why wouldn't they just, have her come in and do it? And that's a fair point. Maybe just to buy some intrigue into something that's just kind of, plateaued. A whodunit's always great. But also that could be the build. He also mentioned, well, I like the possibility of more likely, because PCO is a single entity, but obviously it's going to be a 2-on-1 in some case. Where's Davey at? I know he's with MLW, but isn't that coming to an end soon? Can you imagine that, guys? Not just Davey and I don't know who would team with PCO, figure that out. But if that's the case, and then we have a new American Wolves, and we have Motor City, and we have Ace and Bay. Now that is a insane tag division. But we'll see. Not mentioning, by the way, Decay and Rajachir and everybody else that's working their way up. The good hands. So what do you guys think? What was your first reaction? Mine was, oh, shit. Because I just thought they paid an Uber driver to bring Eddie to the desert. I don't know. I was overlooking that completely. And to be honest, because of the beginning lulls of the episode, I just wasn't looking for something that intriguing to be happening. Some depth to a storyline. If you guys know, since No Surrender and the last week, I just haven't been the most excited. Once again, good pieces, but it looks like we're pacing ourselves for something bigger. And a whodunit is always a good bigger. I enjoy it. So we'll see. So we're going to throw it to Matt and Tom. And they're ringside, and they announced that Kenta is going to be taking on Suzuki at Multiverse United. Jeff, Destro a wrestler or just PCO's handler? Oh, is Destro a wrestler or just PCO's handler? Oh, that's the guy. RK Shellsworth, the Uber driver, hits PCO. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was the guy saw that. That might be the thing I was talking about. I thought he said the designer, so I always thought, or I don't know if that's how I worded it. I always thought that meant who designed his new look, because he was rocking the blue and the black, and then now he has the really cool black with the the eye and it's nice. The this and the that and the you guys get me. But before they finish announcing all the matches that will happen next week and beyond, Deanna's going to come to commentary for as she scouts her last loss, which was Giselle Shaw, who is coming out with Jay Vidal and Savannah Evans looking like a formidable unit. Really dig that, because we also got to remember Savannah and Giselle also have that option as well to team. So there's another Knockouts tag that we possibly have. Love it. So Mickie James is going to defend her title successfully here in the main event. And I told you guys to keep looking for those breadcrumbs, because they keep dropping things where Mickie is barely winning, or there's some issues with the wins. they're kind of playing her everywhere, right? She's in the beginning doing something. I'm not going to complain about Mickie being on television whatsoever. But she's doing a few things here and there. I don't know where it ends, but she tapped out to Jordynne. She might have got pinned by Masha. And now here, even though, yes, she was subject to cheating, Deonna's going to come in and make not only the save from Jay Vidal, knocking him out, but also reversing the pin that leads to the win, 1-2-3 for Mickie James. So an interesting development that I really didn't see coming here, man. The possibility of Mickie and Deonna being a thing, maybe. Or it's keeping your enemies close, enemies or friends close, enemies close, or whatever bullshit. Maybe the snowman ran over PCO if he dropped something. TK. Oh, Tony, the snowman. He melts in the desert, I think. All right, guys. Loved what was happening here in the main event. Loved the little development. We had a back-to-back, a little taste of some storyline intriguement between Deonna and Mickie, and then PCO Eddie in the truck or the Jeep. And that really saved it for me, not including, of course, the Dango and Santino segments. And Trey and Swinger Dice. But this brought me back to a solid B. I was kind of B minus C plus for last week's, and if the start of the show, I thought I was going to be right back there. But there was really some nice little developments, some wins along the way proverbial wins throughout. So, what'd you guys think? Let me know. You guys do. Last week, I wanted to give a shout out to Gary Rossetti, who B plus for last week. So let me know if it's in the comments right here on YouTube if you're watching there, or right now live on twitch.tv/TNAIWChannel. Let us know. And of course, as always, make sure you hit like, subscribe, all that jazz. One friend at a time, one fan at a time. Know you guys are watching. A lot of searches. A lot of 33% of you are searching and not subscribing. So just hit the subscribe button. Let us know you love us. All right, guys. So let me know what you thought of the episodes. We're going to get to hot topics. I want to stick with the state of the knockouts, man, because and get right into Taya possibly leaving, but it looks like the writing's on the wall. I know Nora Sparks wrote us and said this ahead of time, so even before, said the sheets were reporting it. In this case, seems to be true. She's working for MLW. It looks like she could be working for AEW. I think what was the rumor? I don't watch pro wrestling, but I don't watch. Was it Jade called out a Canadian or challenged a Canadian of some kind? So it makes sense for her to fit there. Once again, she was working on a per date contract. It seems. Let her make her money. Let her get her shine. She wasn't really taken care of in WWE. We all know her because we love Lucha Underground, where you explore AAA. She's been, is the longest reigning knockouts champion of all time, masterclass when she was in Impact. So I get it. I'm not hating whatsoever. She's, gave us stability in the knockouts tag division for a bit. So I don't really want to make it too much about, her leaving or her decision or anything of that nature. Good for her. Godspeed. Hope she kills it and gets everything she deserves because she's an all-time talent. But with that being said, we're dropping out Taya out of Death Dolls, it seems. And it looks like Decay might be headed back together. We have a Coven. RK Shells versus Taya makes sense to fight Jade, but we'll see. I wanted Taya to stick around. I mean, I thought to fulfill that legacy even more, for her to be the knockout, first knockout in Team Canada would be pretty dope. I know there's a few other options, Gail maybe. Someone who works on the regular would be cool. But so this leaves, I would imagine, and we had it kind of alluded to with James Mitchell, who's been gone for a bit, about a Havoc problem and taking care of Havoc. So I would assume, even though I love what they're doing with Jessica, I would assume we're going to have that Susie-like thing where we flash back, and she's back to being Havoc. We're back to being Decay. which would be a perfect time for Steve Hoover and been kind of in the law, which makes sense for him to have dropped the feud with Trey. Like, once again, right? If I lose, I move on kind of thing. It makes sense. I think they're floundering until we get to a bigger point here. And a bigger point of that whole thing with Rosemary talking to Killer Kelly and stuff about Death's Door, Knock Away, that kind of stuff. It looks like we're going to get a lot of Undead Realm for the knockouts. So I'm going to guess what they filmed is it Taya's death? I don't know. Weird to say out loud. Yeah, so I think we're going to get a lot of that. So with that being said, I don't think if Decay gets back into that, we have the Coven, who is obviously formidable as long as they're staying together. We have Mickey and Deanna doing some things. You got Giselle and Savannah lingering, but also in the Knockouts title picture. Masha's still in the picture. It's a good time to be a Knockouts fan, guys. Killer Kelly getting her comeuppance. KiLynn King coming in to literally walking into an awesome, not that she's walking into it, but they're walking into a great opportunity. Maybe Taya goes back to the Undead Realm in exchange for Havoc. Book it. Let's go, Millard. I like that. Yeah, maybe that's like a sacrifice kind of thing. I will, and she can follow the bunny from the Undead Realm right into the dark. No, hope she does the best there, man. But yeah, I don't know. Where do you guys feel? I know, and I don't want to take anything away from losing a talent like Taya. It was just not a thing where back in the day where it'd be like, oh my God, It's one of those things where I feel like, okay, good for her. We got some coming in. We got some more possibly coming in. We got some really great depth in the storyline for the Knockouts. We got them having diaries. You have Rosemary going to the Scream premiere in New York City. Good things for the Knockouts, man. Oh, and by the way, they have not announced a single matchup for the Multiverse United pay-per-view for the Knockouts or women's division. There's got to be at least one, right? So I think there's going to be some exciting things. And I'm still not putting out of the realm of reality that we get a Gale versus Mickey at Rebellion and a Mercedes debut. That's what Rebellion. That's what I'm gonna say. Hey man, I'm gonna keep breathing it into existence because I'm okay with being wrong. But in this case, either way, the Knockouts division is looking very, very good in all aspects. Do I want some more solid tag teams? I think we're on the path. We know Gale, who is running the Knockouts, wants that as well. You could tell by the KiLynn King edition where this isn't just, let's bring in a knockout, let's see how we can fit them in with. We're selecting ones that make sense for what they're doing, what the vision is. So, KiLynn King and Taylor Wilde forming the Coven. Who's next to step in and to take that role next side? Maybe a veteran, maybe not, but to be that next tag team. RK Shuttle was saying, I really like that territory idea where wrestlers can move from promotion to promotion to stop things from getting stale. I hope we are moving more and more towards that. It feels like we are. It feels like we are in some sense. But at the same time, I think that's just going to be to a degree. It can't be what keeps us afloat. I said that last week. I don't want, us to just rely too much on other talent that only comes in for pieces or whatever. I think we have a great foundation. That's part of the thing I want to talk about. Actually, it feels... Jeff Nichols Matthews is taking bookings in, and Isaiah Brookside is also. Yeah, I hear great things about Brookside's work. That's what I'll say. For great things about her work. But yeah, I want to talk about that as well and see where you guys are at. Maybe drop the Multiverse United card first. Josh versus Kushida, Ospreay versus Bayley. Those are the top two headline matches. Josh and Bayley, obviously the dream team for my team Canada. Moose versus Cobb, Kenta versus Suzuki. Trey versus Swan versus Kaz versus Kevin Knight versus Clark Connors versus Rocky Romero in an X Division scramble match. Ace and Bay versus Aussie Open versus TMDK versus Motor City Machine Guns. Fred Rosser, Alex Coughlin, Sammy and PCO versus Eddie Edwards, Hendry, Tom Lawler, and JR Kratos. Yeah, Moose versus Cobb is going to slap 76 Philly says. Yeah, they're going to beat the hell out of each other. Every one of these matches so far obviously has something different. Love that our titles are integrated with it. This is going to be a banger, but I'm really, really excited to see what the knockouts are allowed to do here. Could it be knockout versus knockout? Possible. But with with New Japan trying to start and showcase their division, or integrate that division, I think we're going to see something cool. We're going to see something cool, man. But what do you guys think about the card? What do you, I was saying it's going to be an amazing show. Is there something besides the knockouts that you really want to see? I know, obviously, we could dream book anything. But it's definitely a great card that's coming together for March 30th. Obviously, Sacrifice needs to come together before that on the 24th. But we do have some things, getting pieced together there. Obviously, we're Rebellion being the bigger thing. I was saying fingers crossed for Stardom or Joshi talent. But the one thing I want to ask you guys in general is, I could talk about how I think the Knockouts division is. I could tell you, we talk about where we think, this champion is or this talent coming in is. What do you guys think about Impact as a whole? Where are you guys right now with them? This is something that I think should be very exciting, the Multiverse United card. And I think it's the beginning of the set of that, Rebellion, and these Canadian showings that are going to lead to that next phase of whatever Impact is. It's not me being just the forever optimist. It's just following the breadcrumbs of the facts of we do have big live shows coming up. Boom, 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 boom. One of them being one of our big four that never fails to deliver. And in Canada. And the Rebel. So that's going to be a banger. And we're getting what we wanted. We've always wanted. We get our two homegrown talents, Macklin versus Josh, and a main event for the world title. So we are getting everything we want, but the more and more, and I don't get to go on the Twitter machine too much, or as much as I'd like to, but see a lot of people, including the staff and some of the wrestlers of Impact, kind of being meh about it. Being a little Debbie Downer about how nobody's liking Impact kind of thing. Now, I can understand that when there's a lot of other people, you feel like they're getting their praise, getting their flowers, while Impact's not. But I honestly, would I love it to be a 10,000-seater tomorrow? Of course, why not? But for a pandemic being in between their 5-year plan, do I think, are we in the best position or the position we'll be in a year? No. Or 2 years? No. But for having that DAZN deal, having stability, having great, consistent quality, building viewers one friend at a time, one fan at a time, they've really done that in each market. We're getting sellouts. Okay? Ticket sales looking good for this next batch, Lou was just saying as well. So is it fast? Is it, a great amount thing? It's not obvious because too many look at the Nielsen ratings. Yeah, I could go on about the Nielsen ratings, and I have. You could find those episodes forever. But once again, something that is a representation of 41,000 houses in the United States is not going to tell me jack shit. It's not. You can have one box in Michigan isn't going to tell you what the whole state. That system is old and broken. And all that matters to me on a day-to-day is the company float? Are there any single questions of stability? No. No questions. I want to make sure I say that right. And that's not something we should just hang our hat on and say, oh, we don't have any stability issues. No. We got to keep growing. We got to keep doing things. But once again, I said this a couple weeks ago, going to those same markets has been paying off. You're building one fan time, one friend time, building a community. And maybe showcasing your fans in the crowd is a smart thing to do when that's the case. ECW, you felt a part of that company. And I think Impact does a great job of trying to do that as well. I think there's some stylistic things they can, obviously do to up the game, and I think they will. I still think that TNA could be that spark that maybe some don't want. But I understand the possibility of being, oh, when's it going to be our time? When's it going to be our time? Because we, sometimes can't just like what we like. We need everyone else to like what we like as well. It's kind of the general landscape of the world right now. And with that, though, we also have to understand, and this was part of the thing that I came to, because I'm perfectly content at the pace we're at. I want to see what happens in this next year, because I think it's going to be boom, 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 boom for us. But we'll see. I know it can become, you want it to happen now, you want it to happen now, you want that respect, you want that pat on the back, you want that Horowitz. But at the same time, you have to understand that they inherited a company. And this isn't making a whatever, but just to show, just to talk about where we've been to where we are now. Inherited a company that's pretty dead in the water, right? They put the Impact label on it. They try to, spit shine it, do what they can. We went away from everything TNA. From the names of our pay-per-views to the color of our everything. We got as far away as possible. Then we started to slowly bring it back. Bring back the red and black. Bring back the history. Bring back the tradition. Bring back the lineage and references. Do I know that's going to be the thing that changes us and gives us the spark? No. I'm going to keep saying it because I'm biased. But also because I do think, and when I get to this point, it where you guys know where I'm coming at, I think it makes even more sense. It's this pandering to the everyday wrestling fan isn't going to work. We've seen it. It just doesn't do it. People, because we live in a society, especially with pro wrestling fans, where sometimes, and this goes for me growing up, pro wrestling is really the only thing that kept me in a community. It's the thing that at the end of the day, okay, maybe I don't fit in everywhere else, but pro wrestling and that fandom, it gets me. We have pro wrestling to talk about. But when you build that kind of dynamic, and then on top of that, or you build that fan base of people like that, including myself, and then you make, that tribalism comes into play. Once one thing is that hated thing, it's going to be a very hard time to get that LOL stuff out of people's mouths because it's an easy, cheap heat. Just like there's cheap pops. Oh, I'm in Orlando, Florida. Hey, yeah, right. The McFoley special. There's cheap heat as well. I hate your city. I hate your team. And the fact that everyone can get some likes on the fact when they shit on TNA, it's not going to stop. So if it's not going to stop and you're going to keep pandering them, you're not going to get a result. So for me, I think that's why TNA even makes more sense. Just to 8 Mile that shit, double down on it, and say, oh, well, it wouldn't be that, but it'd be, Impact Wrestling. I guess it'd be whatever. But you guys get my point. At the end of the day, though, all that matters is, are our fans happy? Are the people that watch it happy? Are you guys happy with the product? I think we're in a little bit of a valley right now, but I see a peak coming. But I think also we have to be excited about these little things and take victories in these diaries. Take victories in when Access TV's brand grows and gets hot ones on there and things of that nature that are actually relevant to people. You got to take the victories of New Japan working with us and doing that. Jordynne doing things outside. Rosemary getting on to the Scream premiere. Little things like that are what's going to get us, that one fan at a time mantra. So, where are you guys at? Are you guys chill? Are you okay? Do you want it to develop quicker? Do you want to be in a packed arena tomorrow? I don't know. I would get any answer. I understand all answers, and I welcome all answers. But wanted to know where to see you guys were at because it seemed like a lot of people were just kind of about stuff. It's always good to touch base and see where all the markets are at, right? Millard saying we have to book bigger arenas, not like WWE or AEW. It's time. Marketing is a lot better than it was a year ago. Going back to England would be great. I agree. Marketing is something I was saying can't rush, but definitely step up moves this year. Yeah, I want to see those as well, and I think we will. Maybe it is those slightly bigger arenas now that we have built markets. Going back to England would be a smart move if it's logistically possible, because we will sell out there. If it's in a packed arena, then the tickets cost more, right? Well, I don't know. It depends on our size. I guess the bleachers would have very cheap seats. What else we got here? I get we all want Impact to get better. Yeah, of course. I'm there with you, but time, yeah, can't rush. Gotcha. Yep, I'm right there with you, Io. I watched the Independents, and there's Impact talents being seen in all markets. Yeah, it's one of those. They've done a great job. It's. I compare it a lot to. It's funny that I'm a fan of the Knicks as well. You're gonna get a lot of criticism. You're gonna get a lot of whatever, but you're secretly making smart moves to where maybe not everyone knows your players, but they know how to play the game, and I think that's what we're doing here as well with everyone that we bring on board. So, all right, guys, I could go on and on about this, but it's nice to see that we're on the same page, because I've seen a lot of tweets from people around Impact that weren't looking as excited about the future as I am. But we have a lot of great stuff coming up, including Bullet Club versus Kaz, Josh, and Rich this week. Macklin versus Heath. Gresham and Bailey teaming against Decay. And then the tag titles on the line, Death Dolls versus the Coven. All right. See a lot of guys talking about getting access on Paramount Plus would be sweet. Impact on bigger networks sounds great until you look at something like AEW getting preempted all throughout the year. Yeah, there's something about having the stability of owning your thing, and there's also, obviously it's a double-edged sword. But at some point, it might be a lot easier just to keep selling access TV to bigger markets than trying to force the show Impact into a good deal that makes sense for all. Anyways, all right, guys, it's been a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know. We got a couple weeks before we get to these big pay-per-views, but of course Lucha will join us after to review Sacrifice. Make sure you go check out GoGoPowerRankings this Tuesday. Go send some love to Mr. Impact Craig and Peter Nixon. See their faces soon. Critical Sting, or get a 10-week deal like MLW. Yeah, that's the thing. When you take those pay-to-plays, you have to be sure you can't be overconfident. Because even though your product might be great, everyone who in the market that watches it might think it's great. What matters to the network is what matters the most. And it might not be numbers sometimes. And obviously, Real's gotten a deal, a bigger deal for themselves shortly thereafter. So timing is everything, folks. Patience and timing. But appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for coming out. God bless and good night. Until next time. Goodbye, everybody.